Okay, for the perspective drawing, this is what I'm drawing. It's a Jeep, obviously, and as we pan down, we see that there's a shopping bag next to it. So, in terms of doing this demo, you're going to be seeing more of my drawing than you are of the Jeep, so I just wanted to show you the whole thing so you'd get an idea. And this is something that's definitely bigger than I am, and as you can see, I'm sitting outdoors and enjoying being outdoors while I'm drawing. So, I'm going to enjoy this. Okay, what I'm doing is laying in, basically boxing in where the car is going to fit within the picture plane. You can see I've already laid in the picture plane, and now I'm fitting the car in it. And I have dealt with basically the front corner of the car, although there's no actual corners on the car because everything is curved or rounded. I've laid in the front tires with vertical ellipses. I'm drawing back, kind of drawing through to the back end of the car along the side, and now working, laying in the second tire, the rear tire there. And double ellipses, so the tires have that thickness. They're basically flat cylinders, and they have a front ellipse and a back ellipse, each one of them. But you can see how I'm basically setting up the gesture, setting up the structure, and then what I'm going to do is go back in and add detail. Okay, now you can see I've got a little more detail going, and I am refining positions, scale, proportion, size, all of those things. The car is basically starting to exist now in the space, and there's a shopping bag there that I'm starting to lay in. And what I'm doing is looking for landmarks, in this case corners, angles, things like that, and trying to relate the overall size of that shopping bag to the size of the vehicle. Looking for landmarks, size relationships, proportional relationships for the front of the grille. Notice that I'm developing the entire drawing at once in this case. I don't always do that. If I'm doodling, I usually just start and keep going and kind of build from a single point. But in this type of drawing, I'm actually developing the entire thing all at once, so I'm jumping all over the place with the pencil. Okay, I've developed it a little further now, and as you can see, I've got the front headlight laid in, and I'm going for a little bit of detail. There's a lot of turning of edges, little bits of platforms going on all around the car, and so I'm looking for, again, landmarks. I'm looking for angles, rate of curve, things like that. And I'm still spending more time looking at the object than I am actually looking at the drawing. Okay, at this point I have detailed in some of the front wheel well and am now relating the back wheel well to it and to its own tire. Starting to build up some of the platforms and the various details on the curves, the sculpting of the car itself. Refining the size, proportion of that shopping bag. Okay, at this point you can see I've laid in some shadow areas, dealt with the windows being having a sense of solidity, and you can see there's more detailing on the tires. You can see there's more detailing that I'm putting in right now on the front grille and the whole front end of the car. Now I'm starting to lay in the environment, basically to ground the car, to give it context. That's the edge of the driveway. By the way, this is on a slightly sloped driveway. If you haven't noticed, you might want to notice that I'm not holding the pencil just one way. I'm flipping it over and doing more of a wrist action thing, and then for the fine detail, I'm holding it as if I would be actually writing. So I keep flipping the pencil from one position to another in my hand. Okay, this is the subtraction drawing method using the eraser. Basically, again, to refine edges, not necessarily to erase mistakes, but to remove additional residue and so forth. You can see that the car's been more fully fleshed out and a little more detail going on in there. And now I'm coming in with a softer pencil, softer graphite. This is a 7B. I was originally working with a 5B, and this is going to give me some darker accent areas to help create greater value contrast and just kind of punch it up a bit. Doing some detailed observation on the hubcaps and the rims. This whole drawing, by the way, took less than 25 minutes. It was actually just over 23 minutes. Okay, now I've laid in light shadow areas, and I've pretty much ignored the the reflections on the car. On this shiny of a surface, it reflects to a very high degree, and I'm actually more going for the form rather than all the reflections. And so I'm looking for that light source. The light is actually coming from the other side of the car. But where it is right now, it's not a really brightly lit afternoon. So I'm looking for where the sky is reflected in the top surfaces, the top faces of the car, and then everything else is basically in shadow. Again, giving some attention to the environment. That gives it context and credence and helps communicate what's going on. And that's basically it. It's not a fully finished rendered drawing. It's a little on the sketchy side, but it communicates to a good degree, and that's what we're looking for.